Hey friends, it's been a very long time since I did a sit-down video. April through June was just so busy with work and school, my show going up, the end of the school year, a lot of senior activities, so I really haven't done a sit-down video. I'm just honestly just getting back to vlogging on a day-to-day basis. But I am on summer break. I normally do this tag right before I go to ALA, but I'm doing it when I come home from ALA, so I'm going to do a combination of the mid-year freakout tag, the mid-year calm down tag, and also showing you all my 5-star reads or books that I've kept because my shelf just fell apart, so I can at least put them back together nice and neat. But yeah, so let's start. I'm going to do the mid-year freakout tag first, and then I'm going to do the calm down, and then I'm going to show you guys all the books that in this part of the year that I've kept, which means they're my favorite, or I had physical copies of, or I got physical copies of, that I think that might be on my top reads of the year list. Like if it was to make my list right now, these are the books that would be on it, at least the books I have kept. So let's go through it. What is your favorite books of the year? I have at this point read 100. At the point of the mid-year ping, I would say I read about 99. I read one before when I was coming back from ALA. So YA fantasy wise, I think my favorite book was probably A Language of Dragons by S.F. Williamson. I read this book. This is actually my first book of the year, and I loved it. I tabbed it. It was just a historical fiction take on one of the world wars, and it had them, you know, the dragons were like the enemies, and it just had our main character as a code breaker trying to solve like what was happening as a code breaker with the dragons as like the villain, sort of. I really liked it. It had a lot of like fun elements. This edition from Very Loot is stunning. I had a fun time with it. I thought that it was a solid romantasy, but also like a historical fiction story. I think it kind of talked a lot about language and like how language really does infuse your way to like relate to the world, and I really liked it. There is also a slow burn romance in here, a lot of side characters. I really hope this book gets like a sequel because I really did like it, and not enough people talked about it. So I'm really excited for this one. This one was probably one of my favorite YA fantasy books I read this year. And then this book put me in a really big book hangover for like the first 2 months of the year, but I loved Onyx Storm. I know people didn't like it. I really struggled with Iron Flame when I read it, but for some reason this is a series that I think I need to have to immersion read, and I've never really done that before, but I was really afraid of spoilers for this book. I didn't want to get spoiled, so I sat down and I immersion read this, and I think it was probably my best decision. I just loved the elements of the story. I really need to reread it because I feel like I read it so fast. I just love the dynamics between the characters. I loved where we went. I love the settings. This is definitely my favorite sequel of the year. And it definitely put me in a big book hangover. And then my favorite romance, I would say, is probably Beautiful Exile by Catherine Cowles. I really did like this book. This book was Arden's story, and I just love the found family dynamics in this series. But every, book is a different couple or a different sibling, and this is like a found family dynamic. I was a big fan of Katie McGarry growing up, and this book kind of reminds me of Katie McGarry in the book she used to write, right? So yeah, I had a really fun time with this one, and I love Catherine Cowles. So what is the best sequel you read so far this year? I would say honestly it's probably Onyx Storm. I just talked about it, but I would say that this one was a very solid sequel. I have not been doing the best reading sequels this year, to be very honest. It's been like a struggle, to be very honest. I also read Rebel Witch. I don't have that on my bookshelf anymore because I gave it to my coworker so she could read it over the summer. So if I had to pick sequels, like direct sequels, I would probably say those are two that I would probably mention. And I also, yeah, that's probably what the one I would say is those are probably the two that are like direct sequels that I read that I really liked. So yeah. New releases that you haven't read but want to still. Oh my god, there are like so many. So many. It's just, I just got back from ALA, so a lot of the books that I want to read are just books that I have in my possession. But I'm just going to show you guys a couple of my special editions that I got in the last couple of weeks that I really do want to read. And yeah, because they're books that I probably should have read earlier, but I didn't. But I'm not going to put arcs on this because I just have them early. So let me go get a couple that I really do want to read. Say this in every video, but I'm a teacher and sometimes my pretty editions don't get read because I don't want to ruin them on the train. So in the summer, I definitely do tend to prioritize my special editions because I normally don't go anywhere. This past couple weeks I've been traveling a little bit more, but normally I will read them. So I had Air of Storms by Laura Hamilton Murray. This is a stunning cover from Fairy Loot that I really would like to read, and I just want to like be sucked into a fantastical world. The last half of the year, like April through June, was just hard reading because I really had a hard time with focusing. I also really want to read The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. I haven't read anything by this author, and I would like to dive into this story. And also The Floating World by Axio is another story that I really would like to read. This one is one of the books I missed at the conventions. So yeah. And I also would like to read Bury Your Bones in the Midnight Soil by V. Schwab. I actually have an arc of this that is signed, but this is my pretty edition. So yeah, those are the new releases that I haven't read but want to still. Yes. And then my next question is, what is your most anticipated releases for the rest of the year? And I got a lot of them. So I'm just going to show you guys like 5 books that like I haven't read yet. I have read a couple of them that were like my highly anticipated, but these are books that like I have copies of that I'm really excited I fought for them at ALA. And I'll show you guys 5 that I haven't read yet, but I would like to. And I'll show you maybe 2 of like the ones that like everyone and their mother wanted. But yeah, let me go get that stack for you. This is definitely a bigger stack, but I have a stack of books over here that are like books that like I have been like eyeing. So I'm really excited for Extraordinary Quest for Amateur Witches. This is Kayla Cottingham, and this is the 2nd book in her series. I really liked book 1, and it comes out in September, so I would like to read this relatively soon. Again, you're gonna see a theme. It's very, very chunky books that I'm really excited for, so I just have to make the time to get to them. And then For No Mortal Creature by Kelsa Chow. She's the author that wrote A Grow and No Reflection, which I do need to read. This comes out in October, but this cover is just stunning. Stunning! I cannot wait to see if any special editions do this because this one's stunning. I also got A Fate So Cold by Amanda Foodie and C.L. Herman. This is a book I actually got signed. And it seems to me that it's sort of like, maybe like a weatherish story. Like I feel like you're in summer, but then you have 6 weeks of winter and it's really, really bad. So I really have liked their other books independently. I've read one of them one of them together that I also did like, but this one's very, very interesting, and it comes out, I think, in November. A lot of November books over here. I also would love to get to Hazelthorn by C.G. Drew. I have his other book. I don't know if it's a boy or a girl. I'm very apologetic. I don't know. But I do have also Don't Let the Forest In. But I would like to read this one. This cover is very, very pretty, and it comes out, I think, in October. So. I also got A Curious Kind of Magic by Maria Rutherford. This is a cozy fantasy, which you had me at cozy fantasy. I will read any cozy fantasy book. And this book comes out in October. And then we have Break Wide the Sea by Sarah Holland. I think that this is another like seafaring story. And ever since I read Isles of the Gods and Heart of the World by Amy Kaufman, I have been trying to find seafaring stories because I really do like them. And she has made me willing to try it. And this one is one by Sarah Holland, who I've read other books for and do like. And this cover is very, very pretty. I also got An Arcane Inheritance by Camilla Cole. This is the author that wrote So Let Them Burn, and this doesn't come out until January. I will definitely read it beforehand because I think this one is I've just heard good things. Warren University has stood amongst the Ivy League for centuries, built on bones and forbidden magic of its most prized BIPOC students, hiding the rot of a secret society that will do anything to keep them burning bright. So this is a bit of a dark academia story with magic, which I'm excited. And this one comes out in January, so it's a bit of a wait. I also got another one. I got Her Soul for Crown by Alicia Ramera. This is a rising, and this one comes out in August. This one comes out relatively soon. This is a rising god, a fallen god. 2 worlds collide to change the course of destiny forever. But this one is very, very pretty. And I love this cover, so yeah. I also got Chloe Gong's new book, Cold Wire. I don't know what this is about, but I think it is a futuristic story, I think. And this cover is pretty. This is a very, very unique cover, so I like that. And it comes out in November. A lot of November books, actually. And then I also, these are the two that like everyone and their mother wanted. I got Red City by Marie Lu, and I got to meet her and she signed my book, which was just a luck shot. But this is The Godfather Meets the Magicians in Mary Lou's sweeping adult debut. That's one thing I've noticed a lot. A lot of authors have been changing genres, like moving up or moving down to like moving up to adult, moving down to middle grade, moving to YA. So I like that because I feel like it kind of diversifies their audience a little bit. And then the one that I have to thank my friend Kelly for, who I adore, is She Got Me Calabasas by R.F. Kuang. I really do want to read this one. I really do. It's just chunky. And I know this is coming out soon. I think it's going to be one of the book boxes I'm getting, but I would like to read this relatively soon because it's exciting. So yeah, those are the second releases for the second half of the year that I'm really excited for. One that I don't like have an arc for is Glorious Rivals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, and her new book, which I just pre-ordered, it's called The Same Backwards and Forwards, I think. I will attach the photos here if I can remember. She's like my favorite like mystery thriller author of all time, so I'm really excited to see what those books are. And yeah, so that's where we are with that. So next is my biggest disappointment. All right, so I'm gonna have to go look through my Goodreads to tell you what that is, because this was a hard year, I think, reading wise. Like once we hit like April, it just was busier. I said this on a lot of my vlogs if you were following me. Sorry, I'm putting my books back so I don't trip over them. It was harder just because it was busy. Like I had a lot, nothing bad, but I just think it was a more chaotic like part of the year. I said this in my vlog. I taught a lot of seniors this year, and it was the first time that like I ever had to say goodbye to my seniors like that I'd been with all 3 years. So it was emotionally a little bit harder for me this year, and I think it kind of affected my focus. Okay, so let me go look up what my most disappointing book of the year was, because I don't actually know what it was, and I'll report back when I have one to tell you about. A couple books that I'm gonna just briefly chat about. One was Otherworldly by F.T. Lukens, which I didn't like as much as I was hoping. I have really liked their other books. This book just didn't work for me. It felt a little bit boring and a bit like not as captivating, and I'm just gonna attach the photos at the end because I don't actually have any of these anymore. That was one that I struggled with a little bit. I also was not the biggest fan of Our Infinite Fates by Laura Stevens. I will attach a photo of that one and that one here so you could see. Supposed to be very Addie LaRue coded, and it followed these two characters that they kept dying together, and it just was boring. Like it really was. It wasn't as captivating. It didn't have enough like pizzazz to keep me that interested. So that one was definitely a bit of a different disappointment. Also, Watermoon was another one that I just didn't like as much. So I think that those are the ones I'm gonna kind of focus on. Yeah, maybe one more closer to when I recently read it. I also really struggled with Enchantra by Kaylee Smith as an audiobook. That didn't really work for me. And Fable at the End of the World was a little bit of a disappointment. So if I didn't attach them before, I'll attach the photos here. Those are books that just didn't work, and they're not bad books. They just didn't work in the moment. And I will say when I was reading these, I was dealing with a slumpy, so maybe it was just me. But yeah, those are the books that I struggled with a little bit this year. They did talk about the biggest surprise, and for me, I think it was probably Wings of Starlight by Allison Saft. I'm gonna look to see if I can find another one. This book surprised me because I really did not like anything I've read by Allison Saft before. I've tried a couple of books. I read Fragile Enchantment. I read Deep Drowning Tide, and neither of them really hit. So when I picked this one up, it's a Disney Press book, I was a little bit like hesitant, but it was a very, very sweet romance, and I sort of needed that for the Amazing Readathon. It was very, very fun. It was very, very light romantasy, but I had a fun time with this book. But this book did surprise me because I haven't liked anything else she's written, so that one intrigued me a little bit. And then anything else that like surprised me? Honestly, Silver Elite by Danny Francis surprised me. I loaned my copy to my coworker, but I'll touch a photo of that here. I'm not a big fan of enemies to more romances, and I'm not a big fan of like school settings and competition stories, but maybe it's because I was watching The Last of Us. This book just hit and it was really, really great. I read it over the course of like 2 weeks. Again, this was during my really, really stressful period in my life when I was watching The Last of Us, and that was like all I was doing. But I really did like that book, and it was a surprise that like everyone was talking it up, and I also really liked it. So that was where we are with that. So those are the two surprises I think that I do have. My favorite new author, that's actually interesting. New author to me, I actually had a couple. I would say Alexis Menard by House of Bane and Blood was one that I really did like. I was happy that I got to finally read this book. A lot of these are authors that I haven't read before. I also did like Rebecca Thorne. I read Can't Spell Choosing Without T. This has been an author that I've been trying to read for a while. And then I would also say F.S. Williamson that I've read. You know, I haven't read this author before, but this was the book I talked about earlier. So those are the three that like I definitely like read more of. This is not an author that's new to me, but it's an author that I really made a commitment to like read this year. It was the Ellie Alexandra Meet Your Baker series. I'm gonna attach a photo of one of the books here. This is an author that I have really, really made a committed effort to like finish out this series because I'm so far behind now. I only have like 4 books left. So she's not new to me, but she's new that I've read a lot of books this year. So I wanted to give her a little bit of a shout out. There was really no question for that. My newest fictional crush. That's actually interesting. I really did like both the characters in Lady Night. I thought they were both really, really fun. This is a jousting themed YA novel. It's very, very sapphic, LGBTQ+, but it's by Amy Kaufman and Megan Spooner. I like both characters in this story. I also did really like the main characters in Unloved. I loved Matt Freddie because he has dyscalculia and I have dyscalculia, but these characters are probably, both of them are ones that I just was like, they broke my heart into a million tiny little pieces. And I will always love the dragons in Onyx Storm. They're my favorites. So those are probably my fictional crushes if I had to choose. My newest favorite character. Ooh. I really did like the main character, Chaos, in All the Missing Pieces. She was really, really fun to kind of read from her point of view. I also am going to add this as a new favorite character. I loved Rose in The Enchanted Greenhouse by Sarah Beth Durst. I will attach a photo of that book here. I just read it and oh my goodness, this character is so freaking cute. So she's like this little rose, and you have to read the book, it's not out yet, but that was like my favorite character. She like stood out to me. And also we have let me see if I have one of them I can show you. Yeah, there's a little kid. It's not like a main character, but there's a little kid. Her name is Keely in the Catherine Cowell series, and she is adorable and so, so cute. So today, those are the 2 side characters that I really did like. But yeah, again, I also really do like a lot of characters in here, but I really, like the dragons, obviously. So a book that made you cry. Honestly, I would say Onyx Storm made me cry because the last like 30-50 pages was very, very like intense, and I really did like the story, but I don't really cry when I read stories a lot. So this one is one that like got me a little bit. I don't think anything else made me cry. This one I might have teared up a little bit at the end. Just for some emotional stuff, but yeah, that's kind of where I am with that. A book that made you happy. Ooh, I have the perfect book. Let me go get it. I read The Baby Dragon Cafe, and this book just put a smile on my face. It was very like Dream Harbor coded, but with more like some more fantastical elements. This was also my first Forbidden Wing book that I ever got. This book just made me happy, and it kind of made me want to read more romance this year. I haven't done a very, very good job of that, but I did wind up really, really liking this book, and this book made me smile. Most beautiful book I bought this year. Oh, that's hard. I have a lot of pretty special editions that come. I had to buy The House of Bane and Blood because this book was just stunning. Brie from Four Paws in a Book like got me to buy this. I just have a lot of pretty special editions that I have. That one was really, really pretty. The ones I showed earlier are pretty. Really, any of my Fairy Loots that I've had, those are my most recent. One that I just bought. Sorry, my Funko might fall over. This one is really, really pretty too. A Forbidden Alchemy. But yeah, I have a lot of pretty editions. It's very, very hard for me to choose. But I would say the ones that I showed you at the earlier part of this video, I really like The Floating World. So that might be the one I choose. And what book do you want to read by the end of the year? I want to make a significant progress on my arcs because I never read them. So I'm really going to make a considered effort to really read a lot of my arcs going forward and do like a little bit of a challenge. I have a little bit of time now. I'm going to kind of make that a priority. But yeah, I also want to have a little bit more listening balance. So like I'm listening to podcasts and audiobooks just so I don't fall too far behind on that stuff. So yeah, definitely want to read all my ALA arcs. If you want to see all the books I got, there are going to be hauls on my channel. And maybe you guys could go pop into the comments and tell me books you want to see me read soon, because that will help. Okay, and everyone shoot the calm down tag, and then I'm going to show you all the books that I kept, which I'll get into in a little bit, how I make the determination to keep. What 2025 has given to me? I think what 2025 has given me is just a reminder to slow down and a reminder to sort of live in the moment. I think for the first half of like, and I'm just taking, I take years like school years, but I think for like the first half of the year, it always goes by so fast, and I kind of forgot midway through the year that like, oh wow, this is the end of a lot of time with my students. So I think I wish I would have known that like at the start of the year, because I remembered that or made the connection or like I processed it, because I think I would have like done things a little bit differently. I just felt like the end, I was like, oh my god, I have to do all these things in like a month. And that's why I think reading and creating and doing all that stuff kind of fell by the wayside, because I didn't like, I'm a very like, if you would ask me my love languages, I always say that they're gifts, and like that's how I show love and affection to people, like gifts. So I was like trying my hardest to like think of ways to show these kids how much they meant to me, and I just like was like, oh my god, I should have done this earlier. So I think for me it was just a reminder to kind of keep in mind that that's going to keep happening. I'm going to keep having kids leave me, and that's okay, but like I just want to make sure that it's special for them, it's special for me. So I also think for me, this year showed me that like I need to make reading a consistent part of my life like throughout the year, because I need to come home and I need to read, and that really like centers me. And I think that from like April to June it didn't really happen, and that's why I was a little bit frazzled. So I think that I have to remember that like that's my happy place, and I can't let my happy place get too far away from me. Ooh, what is your most relaxing read? Oh, well, I'm gonna say this again because I think the Baby Dragon Cafe just had a lot of elements that worked for me. It was sweet, it was cute, it gave me Trina Harmer vibes but with dragons, and I just love this book. So this is probably my most relaxing read. Yeah. A book that I needed, I think I'm gonna say Unloved by Peyton Curran. This was a book that like I don't think I really hit me until I got into the story. I think I went into the story thinking like I was gonna relate a lot to Matt and Freddie, because we both have a lot of the same learning challenges, like, and just seeing him kind of deal with it and how his college experience was super similar to mine. But I also was unexpectedly connected to Ro because she's a people pleaser, and that's who I am as a person. I'm a very, 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 very big people pleaser. I want people to like me. I want people to be happy. I get like very upset. So I think both of these characters, this story just touched me in a way that I wasn't expecting, and I really, really loved the audiobook experience. A book that energized me. Well, this was a book that I think I remember. So it's gonna get a little bit political. I apologize. When I read Lady Night in 2016, it was like an invigoration. It was like, wow, I need to do more to be more present into this world and like fight injustices where I see fit. And I think when I read this book, I had like a similar thought, because it's obviously a war with people that you don't understand, but are they the villains? Are they the heroes? And it was just like, I felt like this book was one that like energized me to be more engaged. And mind you, January was a rough time, like rough just politically, like it was hard. But I think this book reminded me that like we can make a difference. We just have to stay engaged. So that's what I'm gonna say about this book. An author that you return to. Well, I will say Ellie Alexander has been my most read author this entire year. I've read like 10 of her books. So I'm just going to put the Meet the Bake Shop series. And I really have loved that. So here's a photo of that series. But this is a series that has been very, very comforting to me this year. I've read at least 2 books a month because they've just been very, very relaxing, especially in the later half of, I basically been saying this entire time, but like from April to like June, it's just been a bit chaotic. So this series has served as like a relaxing read for me. Very, very quick to get through and just kind of very, very mind-numbing, but very, very relaxing. So that's an author that I have definitely read a lot of. And also the same with Catherine Cowles. Like I have read, I think 3 or 4 of her books this year. But she has been my go-to for romantic suspense. I haven't read a ton of romance this year, but I have read a lot of Catherine Cowles. So she's an author that I always return to. Actually, today I'm filming this was like a promo post that we all did, and it was very, very cute. But yeah. Ooh, what is an author that you would say was out of your comfort zone? Oh. All right. Or something that like challenged me a little bit. That one's interesting. Alright, I'm gonna say this. I don't know if this really counts. I don't read a lot of dark stories. Like, I don't read a lot of dark romanticises. But this one, The House of Bane and Blood, it worked for me. I don't think it's my favorite book of all time. But I would say it's a little bit outside of my comfort zone because I don't normally read hate to more romantasy. I've been getting better. I think that, like, honestly, it's so popular. But my love for this book, I think, changed how I saw romantasy this year. And I don't think I'm as hesitant to pick up hate more. So, yeah. But this one, I think, is also because it's a little bit darker than what I typically read. Yeah. I think that those are the 2 that I'm going to stick with. So those are my out of my comfort zone. Just because they're a little bit darker than what I typically read. Oh, okay. So this was one that I actually made a goal of this in early 2025. I wanted to focus my physical reads on mostly fantasy-led stories because I really do like to read fantasy. And what I found in 2024 is I was reading significantly less fantasy because a lot of the books I was picking up were mostly like a lot of them, or some of them, were mysteries and thrillers. And it was really affecting my enjoyment because I need fantasy to like kind of catapult me to read. So I think that I did a very good job for the first couple of months of reading only fantasy. But what I also realized kind of when I got to that busy period is that sometimes I need a mystery thriller. Sometimes I need to read that. Sometimes it's like shorter, it's quicker. So I need to like let myself, like I just got back from ALA, like I've put all these books that seem so interesting. So like I just think I need to like remind myself that I can read something else if I need to. But to remember if I'm reading like 5 in a row and they're like, it really has to work. Like the book has to work for me to read it physically, and audiobook I'm a lot more less selective in what I'll listen to. Because I always say like physical reading time is like harder for me to find just because like it's just a little bit less, occurs. But I have a lot more audiobook listening time. So I think maybe be okay to break my own rules if I want to read a mystery or thriller, but like if the book isn't working, it's okay to DNF. So that's what I would say for that. Just another note for that, I think like it's okay for me to try different tropes or try different genres, even if I don't know if I'm gonna like them or they're not my tried and true favorites. So that was sort of with that. Like, just I can read a hate to more romance. I could read a why choose romance. I may not like it, but it's okay to give it a shot. a book or habit that you're leaving. I really would want, in the school year, I definitely want to like find an hour every day when I come home and I read. Though I read a little bit of a different way. I like, this is gonna sound so weird to people. I pick a TV show that I'm in the middle of watching, and I'll watch a TV show for like 5 minutes, and then I'll pause the TV show, I'll go put on my booktube videos, and I'll read. That is so relaxing to me because I don't have a very, very good attention span. I can't watch like a movie for like 2 hours. It doesn't work. People say I have ADHD. I have no idea. I've never been classified with that, but I can't, like, I need like to break up my enjoyment. So I want to do that, but I need to like let myself do that when I get home from work, and it's kind of just centers me a little bit. So I want to kind of find, because I feel like in the summer I can do that so easily, but when I come home, it's just like I have like a very, very long day at work. Like I have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, go to work, come home. So by the time I get home, it's like 4:30, 5 o'clock. I have to work out, I have to do this, I have to do that. But I want to like try my hardest to like find like an hour, maybe like 7 to 9, where I'm just relaxing and not thinking too far ahead. I get very, very caught up in the future that I kind of forget to live in the moment and like take care of myself presently. And that is a bad habit I fell into in this school year, and I want to kick that to the curb next one. Anticipated releases, I kind of showed them all. Those were the books I was most excited for. Events, I love any of the readathons that my booktube friends host. Like, I know that a lot of people have events coming up, and I'm just really excited to do competitive based readathons. They're like super fun. So I'm looking to see whatever they host. I always do everything Brie does, with Brittany does, what Leandra does. So all of those are like what I look forward to. I also go to Comic-Con every year. That's like a big event that I always look forward to. It's like in the early part of October. I also go to Y'all Fest, which is very exciting. That is another book event that I go to. And yeah, so those are like the in-person events that I get very excited for, and then any readathons. Competitive based, team-based readathons are my jam. I love this spontaneity of like Escape and Tar. Those are like my favorites, and I don't know if we're gonna have any more this year, but I love a excitement thing like that. So yeah, those are what I'm really looking forward to for the rest of the year. And then the next part of this video is going to be, what are the books I kept on my shelf? And I'm going to explain to you what I mean by that. So here's how I unhaul books. If I read a book and I didn't love it, I'm going to unhaul it. I only keep books on my shelves after that I read them that I love them. Like, so they really have to be like a 4, a 4.5 star, a 5-star read that I think I'm going to reread again, or I want to put in my end of the year video. So all of these books have some of these are just special editions that I got, but like I read them in the past year. But like a lot of these are books I read this year that I just really wanted to keep. So all these are special editions because I'm a sucker. Dragon and Flame by Catherine Doyle is one that I really did like. I'm really excited for book 2 in this series. It has pretty edges. It was going to get kept. Also, The Rose Bargain by Sasha Payton Smith is another stunning book. I am not a big fan of pink books, but this book is stunning. And this is one that I really did like. It's kind of like a light, Bridgerton light, or a Bridgerton-esque story with a little bit of fae magic. I really hope we get a sequence of this because I really did like it. I also read Fear the Flames by Olivia Rose Darling, and I really did like this book. I gave this book like 4.75 stars. I think that it got cut down a lot when they were like editing it, so I'm really excited to see what Wrath of Dragons is, but this one I really did like. It was like a dragon-esque story with a princess, and it was very, very heist focused. I really did like this one as well. I also kept Unraveled by Keeper of Lost Cities. This is book 9.5. This is basically Keefi's story. You got a lot of backstory. We had a very important scene from Keefi's point of view, and you got a lot of stuff about the world. We have one more book left, and I'm really hoping we get it really, really soon. And then I'm also just going to talk about all of the Catherine Cowell books that I have, because they all have pretty edges, and I pretty much got them from the same spot. We have Beautiful Exile, we have Delicate Escape, we have Broken Harbor, and we have All the Missing Pieces. I think these are the 2 that came out this year. So like these are the two that are probably still going to be on my list for the end of the year. And these are two that I read last year that I really, really liked. But I think out of all of these, I think Broken Harbor was my favorite. I really, really did like this one quite a bit. And then my first book of the year is my A Language of Dragons. This was one that is like World War II with dragons. And this book really inspired me to start a revolution. I also have 2 copies of Lady Night. One was my copy I got from Barnes & Noble, and one was my e-art copy that I got from BookFest. But this one was a sapphic jousting romance, and I really like this book quite a bit. I think it doesn't get nearly enough love and attention, but if you're looking for a quick romp, I'd pick this one up, and it has my 2 favorite authors. So I also read Can't Spell Treason Without Tea by Rebecca Thorne. This was another book that I really did like. It's a cozy fantasy with a nice balance of romance and elements. Like, I didn't think it was boring, and I had a fun time with the story as well. I also read House of Bane and Blood, and I kept both my editions, so you can tell I really like this one. But this one was more of a darker romantasy, and I did really, really like it. And then I gave my coworker Silver Elite, and I gave her Rebel Witch, so those should be here too. And then I have Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros, which was one of my favorite books of the entire year. I know people didn't like it, but that's not shock that I did. And then I also kept the Baby Dragon Cafe. This was the first book I got from Forbidden Wing that I read and loved. I love the edges. It's very, very Dream Harbor-esque, but with like paranormal and supernatural and fantastical elements. I really, really like this book. I gave it 5 stars. We talked a little bit about Unloved by Peyton Curran. This is the second book in the Unsteady series. It follows Freddie and Ro, and I really, really like this story. It was quite a bit. And then I had my art copy of Lady Night, which I accidentally ripped, but I'm keeping this if I ever meet Amy Kaufman. And then I also kept Wings of Starlight by Alison Sapp. This was a really, really fun book, very, very lighthearted, a very, very sweet romantasy. If you're looking for kind of a lighthearted book, I'd pick this one up. And then I also really did like The Wild Huntress by Emily Lloyd Jones. I really liked this book. It was a very, very unexpected ending. It has a competition element to it. And yeah, so those are my mid-year freak out, calm down, all the books that I've kept on my TBR. Let me know in the comments any of your answers to these questions. If you had to pick, what was your favorite book you read this entire year? That's really, really, really hard for me. I'm probably going to say this one was probably Onyx Storm because this book broke me into a million pieces and it took me a long time to put myself back together. But yeah, let me know in the comments, what are your favorite books of the year? I would love to know. Any goals you have going forward, and I will talk to you guys soon.